Welcome back to In Doug's Garden by Davey Tree. As always, I really appreciate you taking a little bit of time away from your garden to come visit mine. We've got a lot planned for you today. We're going to go see an amazing children's garden. We're going to answer a question about native plants, and I've got as always, a cool plant for you to see. Before we get started, I wanted to talk about what's going on right here. You know, we've talked about succession planting a lot, and I've struggled in this garden with deer getting in. I've stopped that. We had a rabbit in here at some point, but we have not seen the rabbit. But the rabbit took a lot of the beans. And so this is the bean that I fell in love with in Italy called Borletto. I think it's Borletto. It might be Borletta. And so I wanted to plant a few up high. This thing's called a pop-up garden. We started using it last year, and I love this thing. You know, we've got onions in here, we've got some more beans in here, but the beans up here will be safe. I planted some beans down in the garden where those got eaten. So we're crossing our fingers and we're spraying here and there, and we're trying to make sure that rabbit does not get in here. Now let's go take a field trip to the kids' corner in Ligonier. It's a cool kids' garden. And do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. Let's go take a look at the garden. And tell me what you do at this space.
I help to teach young kids and their parents how to grow food.
You're a co-director of the Kids Corner.
I am a co-director. Mm-hmm.
And the Kids Corner is what? Just part of the community garden? Is that right?
It is, yep. We maintain 5 beds. So we have every summer from about the middle of May until the middle of August. So it's a 12-week program. We take 8 kids who need to join us with a parent. So it's a parent and child or grandparent and child program. So yep, we garden with about 16 other people, and then myself, Judy, my co-director, and then we have one other master gardener who helps us. How did you get involved, and why are you involved? I got involved from a conversation I had with Judy. She and I were both in the Penn State Master Gardener trainee class together, and in the process of getting to know her, she mentioned the idea of wanting to do something with gardening and kids, and I said, that sounds like just my sweet spot. So, what are some of the things you're growing in there? We are growing tomatoes and peppers, cucumbers, squash, some herbs. We have Swiss chard. We just planted beets and carrots. Tell me a little bit about what you get out of it. Oh, fun is what I get out of it. A lot of fun, yeah. It's a good time to grow a garden, and little people are incredibly enthusiastic about all the discoveries, from what's in the soil to the first, we call them seed suitcases. They're going to be coming in today trying to find like what in kids' corner beds is a seed suitcase that we're getting, that we're watching the growth of. Yeah, it's lots of fun. Everybody found something that is not that's going to grow a seed suitcase. We want to make sure you're standing by a current seed suitcase. So a plant that currently has something with seeds on it. How about this? Yeah, there you go. A little tiny suitcase of seeds. Okay, Amelia, what'd you find? Oh, a little tiny one. Okay, gentle. Yeah, nice. And Emery, what'd you find? Tomatoes. Okay. How did you get started in this?
A friend of ours introduced us to the program. The girls are friends, so she, suggested that we sign them up together, and we've enjoyed it a lot so far.
Yeah, tell me about working with your daughter, how much fun you've had.
It's a lot of fun. We have a large garden at home as well. This is our 2nd year having it, and so it's interesting to see her interest here more than she has to help at home. But this is a good bonding experience for us. We're learning a lot, taking some things that we've learned here and applying them to our garden at home.
Monroe, why are you working in the garden here, but you're not working at the garden at home?
I just think it's funner here.
Okay, it's funner here.
We have our friends here, right? Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about what you guys have done already. Have you been here for weeks doing this, or?
This is, I believe, our 3rd week. So they started talking to them about composting, which is something that we've attempted at home and been mildly successful with. So we learned a few tips with that, and then we talked about different types of soil last week, planting actual plants and then planting seeds.
What do you hope that she gets out of the time working with you in this garden?
I just hope she continues to have a love for it and just wants to work outside and spend less time inside and just enjoy working together.
So tell me what you did in the garden today. What were some of your jobs?
We were supposed to weed the boxes.
And was that hard?
No.
It was easy?
Mm-hmm.
And did you get to taste something?
Yep.
What did you taste?
Beans.
And? Yummy or not so much?
I like them.
Because it's really sweet and delicious. Oh, I should show you. The seeds are inside. Look at that. Little baby seeds that we happen to call peas, right?
And you can take the peas out and just eat the peas. You don't have to eat the suitcase.
Yeah.
But we like, they're nice and sweet.
It's
so
pretty
we like
sweet.
it.
So what ages of kids are in this garden?
Okay, we started out the first year ages 6 to 10 and soon realized that was way too much. So we do 6, 7, and 8.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to work really well. One of the teachers from Laurel Valley School told us that that was a good age group. She says above 8, it's a different learning curve.
Tell me a little bit about working with those kids, how much fun you have.
Oh my gosh. It's just, there's so much joy. I mean, even like just 2 weeks ago, it seems like we've had rain every night except this one. And 2 weeks ago, the kids were all here. It was 6:20. We don't start for 10 minutes and it's starting to rain. And instead of us going over there and doing story time like we do behind the barn every week, we just said, let's start here. And we started, and the parents raised up their umbrellas and the kids were like, it's just water, you know. And they got in there and they're digging and they're weeding and they're planting. We planted 40 plants that night in the rain and the kids didn't want to leave. It's just, they're fascinated. We have one boy in the program this year. There were supposed to be 3 other circumstances. It didn't work out. But we also have 2 dads instead of 2 moms or grandparents that are helping out this year. And our program is hands-on. The parents don't just stand there and watch. They are down in the garden with the kids and they're learning with them.
What's the most fun for you?
Watching the smiles on their faces. I think when they get to pick their first harvest. Usually I have peas ready and I got them in late this year, so they still haven't been able to eat the peas. Usually we can do that the first night. And I think you've seen pictures in the past. We've got kids who pick a yellow zucchini and jump up in the air and say, look what I picked. And just hearing them talk about what they did with the food when they took it home, what they made, what they ate. Yeah. And there's so many of the graduates, like this is our 5th year now. So it's actually, we're teaching our 6th group of children, and those that have been in the program before have already been working with their parents to garden at home. One of them made them put in a garden that's half the size of this. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we've got 3 parents and children that are growing here in the community garden. Now they're renting spaces to continue.
And what do you see the parents getting out of this?
Just as much, if not more. They come to me and tell me they never dreamt they would enjoy this so much and that they got so much out of it, and they wish that there was a program for adults. I guess it's just, I don't know, there's a lot of joy in just doing this for the kids.
Nice. Okay, and then you can work on those squares and then we can put straw down in there too. All right? Good work.
Hey Nate, how did you get involved in this? How did you get started with this?
Funny story, this table right here, I had it on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, that's you.
And Judy buzzed me and told me the table was going to go to the community garden, told me about the program, and I asked some questions and thought it'd be great for my youngest to get involved in something.
Tell me a little bit about the fun you guys have had working in the garden.
At first I didn't know how quickly the time would go, but the time goes by fast. We get to work hand in hand with each other. It's fun to see her excited about it, working with the other kids and really doing work.
What's been the most fun for you?
Watching Molly have fun, actually doing tasks and accomplishing something.
If you need a trowel, get your trowel. So we're gonna collect all these weeds in our little weed bucket so that then eventually we can take it all to the compost, okay? Okay, Emery, where do you wanna be?
This place is all.
Do you want to steer like this half right here?
This half, this doesn't have very many weeds. How about you do, yeah. Okay, perfect.
So tell me a little bit about what you were doing in the garden today.
We were taking out some weeds and putting straw into it.
Is it hard to take the weeds out?
No.
What's the most important thing about pulling those weeds out for you?
To get the roots.
And you did it, didn't you? Was it fun?
Yeah.
Who were you working with there?
My dad.
Yeah, is he a good gardener too? Oh yeah? What do you hope the families get out of their time in the garden?
I hope they get out of their time that growing food is a worthwhile hobby, and maybe it'll be something that they choose to do on their own. We have several graduates of our program who have now rented beds here at the community garden. So we've got, I think, 4 kids from our previous summers that are down here now gardening with their parents. So I'd like to just make growing your own food a little bit of something that they feel like they can do.
You should grow this, really. The #1 gardening question is, why doesn't my hydrangea bloom? And if that's a problem for you, you should grow this because it always blooms. This is Invincible Spirit. And it comes from a family of hydrangeas that only this family could actually be cut to the ground and come back the next year and bloom like this. Now you're not going to get those blue or really intense pink flowers, but look at these, they look great. And I'm telling you what, this thing will bloom in just about any light. I've got them in complete shade. This one gets a little bit of sun. One of the best things about this plant is portions of the proceeds go to breast cancer research. You should grow Invincible Spirit.
I was wondering if you were to recommend 3 native plants for people to add to their landscaping, which plants would you choose?
So I talked to Becky about some of the natives that she was growing, and everything that I suggested was already in her garden. So I had to put my thinking cap on. And so the first plant I like to talk about is called mountain mint. And it's not as invasive as our normal mint. It does spread, but has a wonderful, wonderful aroma, and also it just brings in the insects, the pollinators. I did a story out at the Pittsburgh Botanic Garden about natives, and Dr. Mark Miller, when I was interviewing him, said, you will hear this plant before you see it. And so that's how many pollinators are on it. The next plant is Monarda or bee balm. You can't go wrong with that. Just a wonderful perennial. And then the third one is called agastache. Again, it's not only native and beautiful, but it brings in the pollinator. So try those 3, Becky. Now it's time for Talking Trees from the Davey Tree Expert Company. I'm joined again by Rob Kruljac. He's an assistant district manager at the North Pittsburgh office of the Davey Tree Expert Company. And today we're talking all about summer storm damage and what we should be looking for before these storms hit.
Yeah, right. Being preemptive on it's probably the best way to approach it. You know, certain trees will present more of a hazard due to things such as like saturated soils, decay at the base of the tree, decay in the stem, a heavy lean in one direction or another. So there's a bunch of factors that we can look at to determine, yeah, should you really be concerned about that tree?
You think this one's a problem?
Yeah, yes, I think, and it solved itself, it looks like.
Yes, so, it did. Just fell right down.
In a good direction also, away from
So
this.
we get our certified arborist to come take a look around before the storm, right? And certainly, like up there, if you see any dead branches over your patio, those should go, right?
Right. You know, those could let go at any time, but, you know, wind and a storm could dislodge them a little bit easier. So yeah, we call them target areas, you know, such as your driveway, your child's play set, your swim, whatever the target is. We want to look at that and then kind of think about how often that target's in use. You know, you have your patio down here, eating dinner, having company. And yeah, so in areas like that, we want to be, you know, extra, you know, diligent in our assessment of the trees to, you know, remove any hazard, you know, then decide if the tree needs to go to be, you know, safe from a summer storm episode.
And that's something that, again, a certified arborist is going to have to tell us. You know, just because it has some branches like that one,
exactly,
the whole tree could be fine, right?
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. What we really look for in like a hazard tree situation or a tree that's declining is we want to look at the dieback from the tips back into the center of the tree. Having some dead wood under the canopy, that's normal, that's natural, not too worried about that. But when we see the branches up in the sky that should be thriving, dying back, that's telling me there's something wrong.
And so far this season in our area, it's been stormy already.
Oh yes, yes, absolutely. Climate change is really affecting our weather patterns. Our storms are shorter but more severe, and we're seeing a lot more of the flooding, saturated soil, and wind throw. We just had a couple tornadoes through Etna, Sharpsburg the other day, which is pretty unheard of.